So what is it that we're going to talk about today then?
I'd like to talk about safety today, safety in injectables. Yeah. Choosing the right practitioner when you are thinking about having Botox or dermal fillers.
Because there'll be a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that most people that come and have Botox or have dermal fillers wouldn't be aware even happens because they don't see it.
That's right. There are a lot of things that are going on to make sure that we are delivering safe treatments.
So one of those, for example, would be the cold chain. This is for Botox, not fillers.
So as an example, when Botox is delivered here, we've got somebody here at all times. So Botox has to be kept at the right temperature so that it's safe. So it has to be cold or frozen, and it's actually a powder.
Oh right, so it's not a
liquid.
Right.
So it comes in a cold pack, and it's called a cold chain so that it's always kept at the right temperature at all times. And if it comes out of that cold chain and it becomes too warm, then it's going to be ineffective and it won't be safe for you. We make sure that it goes into a medical fridge. We monitor that fridge and check that fridge and make sure...
What makes it a medical fridge? Why is that different from the fridge that you would have in your kitchen?
The medical fridge has got a temperature gauge on the outside that you can see it.
Right, so you can log the temperature.
You log the temperature and you make sure that it stays at the right temperature all the time. The Botox then is mixed with the right solution and the right amount. Now you can mix Botox with injectable water or saline or something called bacteriostatic saline, which is kind of the industry standard. If you mix it with too much, then you're going to have a solution that's not going to work very well. Mix it with too little, then it could be dangerous when you inject it so that you get results that are going to give awful or detrimental results.
Now you put a lot of emphasis on taking medical history. In fact, there's a reasonable amount of paperwork that you do with clients at the clinic.
Yeah.
Why is that so important to have that?
So the medical history means that you are finding out about your patient. Botox given to most people is usually a very safe treatment, but there are a few things that you need to make sure that it's going to be suitable, because it's not going to be suitable for absolutely everybody. You get everybody to fill in a form, you need to interpret those results.
Right, so
and
it's not just about the questions you ask, it's about understanding what those answers there mean.
So when you take that history, do you understand all those results? That's very much a joint process with your patient, that you're talking through with them and pointing things out to them. So there may be a couple of things in that history, and it might seem quite minor things. They might be on a certain antibiotic, for example, that at the time might make the Botox more potent, so that it could give an unsafe result, and it might just mean they need to come back the following week, and then we could give a safe treatment at that time. And if they're coming back for a repeat treatment 4 months later, is there any change to that medical history? Are you on any antibiotics at the moment for anything? And that kind of thing. It's really important for dermal fillers as well. Dermal fillers can be given by people that are not medically qualified.
And that's because it's not actually prescribed, is it?
No, it's not. No, Botox has to be given by medically qualified people. If you've got a cold sore and you give somebody a dermal filler and you haven't picked up that they've got, it might be a really tiny cold sore that you've not noticed, that could trigger a massive infection, a massive spread of the cold sore. And then, how are you going to manage that? The thing to do is not to do the dermal filler in the first place. Wait until the cold sore has gone. So it's picking things up like that. Or has that person got a dental infection at the time? That then could present as an infection in the filler 6 months later, minimising the risks so that you don't present with a problem further down the line.
Because there are always going to be risks.
There are always risks. So it's keeping you safe and minimising the risk, and not going ahead with the treatment if it's not safe. If you then get a complication, it's dealing with that complication.
It was an interesting bit that you mentioned before, saying that dermal fillers, they're not in the UK anywhere, they don't have to be prescribed. You can, if you really want to, go and there are places you can buy them online. But what's interesting is the dissolver, which you would use if there was a complication. Now that's a prescription.
It is. You can dissolve dermal filler, which not everybody realises, so that's good that you can dissolve it if you get a problem, but that has to be on prescription. The times when you might need to dissolve a dermal filler are either immediately if it compresses a blood vessel, Or 6 months later or 9 months later if you suddenly get an infection. Kylie Jenner has made lips very, very popular. She's gone from thin lips to much bigger lips and made them very popular. You can do that safely, but people do it very rapidly. They want their lips really big overnight, so they have too much filler done too quickly, and sometimes they get away with it. But if the filler expands the lips too quickly, you are increasing the chances of causing a problem with the blood supply, and then it squashes it all up, and then suddenly you've got a problem with the blood supply, and you get a breakdown of the tissues surrounding, and then it can sort of ulcerate, and it can all be quite nasty. It's all reversible if you're quick and you dissolve, but if you've got somebody that hasn't got access to that dissolver, they don't know what to do, or maybe don't recognise it. Again, you can minimise that risk by not doing it so quickly. You can still get the big lips.
But because you can always get complications with any medical procedure, I suppose the advice there would be that you shouldn't really have fillers off someone who isn't going to be qualified to use the dissolver or have access to the dissolver, because even the best practitioner could still get complications.
Yes, you might get lucky, but do you want to take that risk? So if you get somebody who's medically qualified to start with, then you're not putting yourself at risk.
What risks are there with getting the right product? Because it's not just someone being able to prescribe product. If you're buying it online, that surely then also brings...
It's scary. It's scary particularly in this country because we're not a regulated industry. You can get hold of dermal fillers, as you say, online. There's such a huge range of fillers that are available. What we do at this clinic is that we stick to mainly the Juvederm range of fillers. In America, they have a very strict regulating body called the FDA. That means that all the fillers have gone through a very strict regulating process whereby all the fillers have had a lot of studies done. There's lots of evidence there, so that you know that all the fillers have a wealth of scientific evidence, so that they are safe, that they're going to be broken down evenly in the body, that they're sterile, that they're going to last a nice long time, that they're going to give you a good result, so that if you put filler into the lips, it's not going to suddenly break down unevenly. You know, you're not going to get it broken down out on that side and it's still holding at that side, for example, and you're not going to get a load of lumps and things. Whereas in this country, you could be injecting all sorts of different things and not know about it. So if you stick to fillers that have been regulated by the FDA, which, although it's an American body, you know you've got that safety.
Right.
We also use the Juvederm fillers, which are manufactured by Allergan, and Allergan are a big pharmaceutical company, and then you've also got the support of Allergan. So we work very closely with Allergan.
Right, so that's an important relationship then, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So if we get a complication, fortunately they don't happen very often, but then you've got their scientific department that will support you. We also have a medical director here as well, so you've got that support as well. So you've got lots of people that you can bring in.
And that comes from buying the fillers and having that relationship directly with the manufacturer.
Yeah.
And also that way as well, I suppose you know that you're not buying a counterfeit product, you know, some other filler that's had that name put to it.
Yeah, yeah. Because there are counterfeit Juvederm products, and if you look closely at the box, they're not quite the same.
I suppose then all of that safety is backed up by your own NHS experience and being able to identify potential problems before they come. Is partly goes back to the medical history, that you know how to deal with complications as they come.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes people come in and they might have a complicated medical history, but they really want to have a treatment. And we may liaise with consultants or GP, and often you can go ahead with the treatment, but it's knowing what medical conditions may or may not have an impact on a cosmetic procedure and whether or not it's safe to go ahead.
Right, so something that sounds really serious might actually not affect,
might not have
whereas something as small as you've mentioned as a cold sore.
Yeah, cold sore doesn't sound serious, does it? And yet, if you've got a cold sore at the time, it can have a huge impact on having a dermal filler.
Yeah.
We have hundreds, thousands even of clients on our books, and we've got many, many people with all sorts of different medical conditions that we manage within as regards their cosmetic procedures, and it's not a problem. We know about them. It might mean that we look at their cosmetic procedures in a different way. For example, talking about the cold sores, if somebody gets a lot of cold sores and they get them very regularly, I will prescribe them an antiviral medication to take as a preventative measure, some acyclovir tablets to take, and then it will help prevent them from getting cold sores.
So what would be the biggest piece of advice if someone was, they've decided that they want to get Botox or they want to get fillers and they're looking for a clinic or a practitioner or someone to carry out that treatment, or they've got someone in mind, what would be your biggest piece of advice that they need to look for or be aware of before they make that choice?
I mean, most people these days will have a website. So look at the website, look to see if they've got before and after photographs. It's good if they've got some of their own rather than sort of the standard stock photos. Look at the information that they've got. People usually put some information about themselves. Look to see if they're medically qualified. I think you should get somebody who's medically qualified. Look at the setting of where they're doing their treatments. Look to see if they have any follow-up. Look to see if you can contact them after the treatment. So, I mean, you know, you can contact us 7 days a week, those sorts of things. Go along and have consultation with them. Don't feel pressured into a treatment. You know, if you come here, you can sometimes have the treatment on the day if we think it's appropriate, if you're happy to go ahead. But often it's better to go away and think about things. So go along maybe and have a chat to them, get a feel for it, and see if you sort of feel safe and happy.
If there's any questions for people that are watching this, then they can leave them in the comments.
Post them down below. Yeah.
And if we get enough questions that we haven't addressed, then we may well do a second video on that.
We will indeed, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brilliant stuff.